If you are dreaming of a wedding that feels magical and intimate, then a winter wedding might be for you. My name is Kelly Schultz. I am the owner of Signed and Sealed and a wedding planning consultant. And today I want to talk about why winter weddings are so magical and how you can plan one without any stress. Personally, I'm a big fan of winter weddings. I'm really excited to talk about this. If you live in Metro Detroit, you know we've had a really snowy December. I'm looking out the window at the prettiest winter snow scene right now, so buckle in, here we go. Before we get into how to plan a winter wedding, let's talk about why winter weddings are so underrated and why you might want to consider one. There are some elements, both in terms of value and aesthetics, that make winter weddings really desirable in various ways, and couples don't always think about those. So first up, availability perks. Popular venues and vendors tend to have more date options available in the winter. There's also potential cost savings. This is not true 100% of the time, but some venues and vendors do offer less expensive off-peak rates. I have also seen venues be more willing to work with you in terms of like minimum guest counts or minimum catering spend during the off season. So that's another way that you might be able to save a little bit of money. You can also save money on decor by leaning into seasonal elements like evergreens and candles, as opposed to like big lush floral displays that are common, of course, in the summer. And those can be expensive, so you can go ahead and lean into those more natural winter elements during this time of year. There are also aesthetic advantages to winter weddings. I mean, this is of course personal preference, but personally, I absolutely love, dramatic lighting, classic, cozy, luxurious vibes, which of course fit very well with the winter season. You have the option to lean into the holiday season if you want to. If you're having a a December wedding or like a New Year's Eve wedding, you can definitely lean into the holidays. Or you can do winter elegance without any holiday elements at all. So you can go either way. Another element of winter weddings, and the last one I'm going to talk about today, that makes them so underrated is that it actually can be a really positive guest experience. There tends to be a little bit less calendar fatigue. I say this mostly in terms of weddings that are in January and February. Of course, the holiday season gets busy, but if you have a wedding in January or February, people tend to have less events on the calendar, less travel, certainly less weddings at that time of year. So a wedding, can be a welcome addition to their calendar at that time, a nice chance to dress up and get out and see family and friends. Your wedding will also be a unique memory for them, as opposed to probably many more weddings that they've been to in the spring, summer, and fall. Now, in terms of actually planning a winter wedding, we would be remiss not to discuss the unique weather considerations that come along with it. So as a planning consultant who wants you to have the best, smoothest day ever, I am going to offer you the following pieces of advice. First, make sure that you weatherproof your plan for the entire day. By that, I mean a couple of things. Make sure that you have a backup indoor photo plan that you are happy with. If it's below zero, even if it looks pretty outside in the trees or wherever, you're not going to want to be outside for long. Maybe you'll step out for one photo, but you're not going to want to do a 45-minute photo shoot out there if it's that cold. So make sure that there are locations inside the venue that you are happy with. Transportation timing is another thing to think about. I would plan to work in a little extra time for transportation. Schedule the shuttles or the party bus or the limos or whatever it is a little earlier than you would think in case of weather delays. And I would be prepared to hold for a few minutes on your ceremony if guests are running behind due to driving in winter weather. None of us have a crystal ball. We don't know when the next winter storm is necessarily going to come. So it's always important to think about safety first, and you don't want anyone to feel rushed driving through snowy or icy weather. The third thing there, additionally, make sure you are planning appropriate footwear and attire if you are going to be outside for any length of time. Not only you, but your wedding party as well. If you want your wedding party to be outside for photos, buy the bridesmaids some sort of faux fur wrap or shawl or something like that, so it's not a miserable cold experience for them. If you're going to ask guests to be outside for any length of time, even if we're talking like a 10-minute ceremony, it is definitely a good idea to give them a heads up about this so they can plan accordingly and dress for the weather. Again, I would definitely have an indoor backup plan in place that you're happy with so you can move everyone inside if it's not a nice day, or even honestly, like, having elderly guests be able to observe through a window if they're not able or comfortable being outside in the cold for that long. So those are a few of the things I would do to weatherproof your day. The second big point in terms of planning around winter weather would be plan an appropriate timeline. It's no secret that daylight hours shift and the sunset is quite a bit earlier in the winter. So make sure to be in touch with your photographer to determine the best ceremony timing based on what photos you might want to capture outside or even just inside with the light coming through windows before and after your ceremony. You want to make sure that you're giving yourself enough time while the lighting is still nice. This is, of course, probably going to push up your getting ready time, your hair and makeup start time overall. So just know that you're probably going to be getting an earlier start to the day if you opt to do a winter wedding. And then the third and final logistical element to think about in terms of winter weather is ensuring good communication and coordination with your vendors. I'm just gonna give you one example to start. Fresh florals cannot survive very well outside in very cold conditions. So if you're someone brave and doing a ceremony outside in the winter, or you're even just wanting to be outside for a little while to do photos, I would communicate that to your florist. See if they have options that are more cold resistant than others, just to avoid any floral issues the day of the wedding. Make sure to over communicate about that. In terms of catering choices, obviously warm drinks and heartier options can be a really nice touch for guests during the winter months. And then I would also communicate with your venue to ensure, one, that there is adequate heating, two, that there is a coat check for guests at that time of year, as it's gonna make the reception look nicer if there's not coats draped on every chair all over the place. And then finally, just making sure that adequate rugs and floor mats are in place for people to wipe off slushy shoes when they enter and not slip. So like I said, as a wedding planning consultant, wedding coordinator, and actually I was a winter bride myself as well, those are the key details that I would not overlook when considering how to navigate what can sometimes be pretty, sometimes be awful winter weather when you're planning a wedding during this lovely season. So we've covered all the logistics in terms of navigating the weather. Now we're going to dive into a more fun topic and discuss design and decor ideas that are perfect for winter weddings. First, I want to share with you a few of my favorite color palettes to consider, especially for winter weddings. So evergreen and ivory, that's a classic. Navy and gold, burgundy and champagne, a really rich, warm feel. You could do black and white with silver elements and maybe call that black tie winter glam, really fancy. You could also lean into all sorts of warm neutrals like shades of brown, tan, and beige to create a really cozy, natural winter feel. So of course, up to your personal preference, but those are some of my favorite options. Some decor ideas along with that. Obviously, winter weddings lend themselves very well to a candle-heavy ambiance. With the earlier sunset, the room is going to be glowing, for most, if not all of the reception, if you lean into a candle-heavy approach. Velvet linens can be a nice textural element to incorporate if you like that. You can, of course, do winter greenery installations as opposed to florals. Not only is it pretty and seasonal, but also more cost effective. And finally, you can absolutely incorporate like snow or snowflake inspired elements on your signage or in other decor. I especially love that with a little bit of sparkle. In addition to all of that design and decor, let's talk about a few fun guest experiences that lend themselves well to winter. So hot cocoa bars, of course. Talk to your bartender or your venue about what's possible, but maybe as the dessert comes out, there could be a nice hot chocolate DIY bar as well, which could be a lot of fun. Other warm drinks that your bar can make, like mulled wine or spiced cider. I also think fuzzy blankets or shawls, definitely a good idea if there's any element of the day where you're expecting anyone to be outside, provide that for people. But I also think even if you're inside, that could be a fun favor option to put out like big baskets of fuzzy blankets or scarves or something like that for guests to take home on their way out at the end of the night. And then finally, if there just so happens to be a fireplace available at your venue, definitely lean into that area, incorporate it, use it, don't overlook it. Maybe add lounge seating for your guests and some decor, some florals or whatever around the fireplace. It makes for an excellent photo spot, both for you and for your guests, and also just a nice place to mingle throughout the reception. So before we wrap up today, I also want to talk to you about why you're going to want a wedding coordinator, especially if you have a winter wedding. We will be able to help you seamlessly work through any day of issues that come up, especially for winter weddings, such as managing weather-related backup plans, such as pushing back the ceremony time a little bit if needed, and communicating that to guests. You shouldn't have to be the one that's making that call on your own and telling your guests and everybody what's going on. We can do that for you. We can make sure everyone who's there is comfortable once they arrive, perhaps even like adjusting things to open the bar and get people warm welcome drinks while we're waiting for the ceremony to start, that kind of thing. So that's one way we can take that uncertainty or stress off your plate the day of the wedding. We can also, and we will of course, coordinate arrival times for vendors and any transportation issues that come up. Again, just being in touch with people to navigate any delays and adjust accordingly. We will, well before the wedding, help you work out a smooth timeline that takes the early sunset time into consideration, of course working with your photographer as well to ensure everyone's on the same page. And then we will be the ones to box up and load your decor out into cars at the end of the night. This is never a fun job for anyone to do, not the couple, not the wedding party or family, but especially when it's cold and dark, let us do it. Hire a coordination team who can take that off your plate so you can just bundle up, walk out, and go home at the end of the night rather than worrying about cleanup. So while I would argue that wedding coordinators are always an indispensable element to smooth weddings, I think it's especially true during the winter season. So if after hearing all this, you are excited and on board and maybe picturing a 2026 or 2027 winter wedding for yourself, now is the perfect time to reach out, lock in your date, and start planning. We'd love to help you along the way. Signed and Sealed always offers free consultations, which can be booked through our website. Talk through any ideas you have. If you're starting completely from scratch, that's fine too. We'll help you figure out the best place to start. So visit our website, signedsealedbyschultz.com, schedule that free consultation, and we would absolutely love to help you get started.